Hello everyone. Happy Monday. I know it sucks. We're getting ready for the work day. Bad. All right. Today I want to talk about imposter syndrome. That has been buzzword for the last few years, the last 2-3 years, where people are talking about imposter syndrome. And sounds like it's something that's complicated, but it's really not. Imposter syndrome pretty much is when you feel like you're not doing as good as others, especially those that think that you are. And you worry that one day people will figure out that you're not as capable as they believe. So even if you are doing well and have evidence to prove it, you still doubt yourself and you think that your success is just by luck or a fluke. I suffer from imposter syndrome. I do. I think majority of us do. We know we're skillful, but for some reason, something along the way has we are incapable, or we're not as great as people will say that we are, or that we know that we are. So imposter syndrome can definitely hinder us, and it can definitely affect us. I have 14 years working in human resources. And to me, it still feels weird to this day when people come to me for advice, come to me for speaking engagements, to host their events, to host trainings. I'm like, me? Little old me? You guys trust me to come and speak to your class, to your students, to your members, or whomever in your audience is going to be? That's imposter syndrome, where you're like, I know that I'm qualified, but am I really? That's what that is. And people will look at you when you are successful, when you've made a great successful career out of your life. People will look at you and say, oh my God, he's so lucky. Oh my gosh, she's so lucky. But it's not luck. It is hard work. I've worked hard for 14 years to get to where I'm at today. I remember when I first started in HR, I knew nothing of HR, and I did not understand, and I didn't realize how far my career in HR would bring me. And I'm just so thankful that I have the life that I have, and I'm grateful and thankful to God that through it all, He's been with me. But I will say, imposter syndrome is definitely real. I remember when I used to tell my friends were all buying houses. They were in their early 20s, and I still wasn't buying a house. And sometimes you feel a little left out, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not buying a house, or I'm not keeping up with my friends, or my people are doing better than me, and what's going on with me? What's happening with me? Why am I not doing what they're doing? But I had to realize and understand that we all have our own race. We all have our own path. I ended up saying, I'm taking a step back. I'm not buying a house just because I want to buy a house. My goal was always to buy a house, but to build my house, like literally from ground up. I wanted to be the first person living in my home. I wanted to be able to pick out certain designs, certain colors and everything of my house. And I remember when people used to look at me like I was crazy, like, what? Buying a new build? Girl, that's out of your league. That is way out of what you can achieve. I didn't let that deter me from believing in what I was going to be able to do. And then eventually, I was able to do that. I was able to build, we were able to build our home from ground up in 2020, moved in 2021, and we're still in our new build home today, which was a lot of hard work, and it was sacrifice and everything. But if I would have allowed people to get to my head that I wasn't going to be able to build my house, I probably would have just settled, and I would have just bought an old house, and I would have a fixer-upper, which no shade, or I don't knock you if you have an old house. People have different preferences. I don't have the time, and I don't want to be dealing with busted pipes, old interior, old this, old that. I want everything new, everything shiny. I want to be able to come in, give me at least 5 to 10 years that I don't have to worry about coming to fix this, coming to fix that. That's just how I see things. For me, I'd rather a new car versus an older car. Like, there's just so many perks and benefits, I think, to having something new. You're the first person that's lived in it, that's drove it. So why not? But anyway, if I would have allowed people to get to my head about that, I probably wouldn't be living here today. Similar with my career. When I started growing in my career, I first got into HR. I was 20 years old, very fresh, very newbie, very green. Of course, didn't really understand work politics yet, office politics yet. I had worked in an office, but not in corporate. Those are two very different things. When you're working in a regular standard office and the corporate setting, they are two different vibes, two totally different things. So I had to learn how to navigate through corporate. And I'm a brown little girl, if you can't tell, Salvadoreña. My parents, they came here to this country from El Salvador, escaping the Civil War back in the early 80s. I was born and raised here, but even though I am an American, I'm still a little brown girl. So in these offices, in these spaces, I have to work twice, three times as hard. I have to really prove myself. We have to prove ourselves because things are not just given to us. We actually have to work hard. So that is why I think that a lot of us, especially people of color, we will deal with imposter syndrome because we have been raised or we've been taught that maybe we are the minority and this is why we maybe are not able to grow. We feel behind. So when one of us in our families is really doing things to stand out and be stellar and everything, I think that speaks volume. I remember my first promotion that I got in corporate. I was like, wow, I can't believe that I actually have gotten a promotion, and I cannot believe that I'm making more money. Like, I was the first in my family to make six figures. There's a lot of things that I've done first, and still to this day, I still get imposter. Like, I was the first in my family to make six figures. There's a lot of things that I've done first, and still to this day, I still get imposter. We're talking about imposter syndrome, right? So my first time that I got a promotion in corporate, I was like, wow, I cannot believe that somebody actually believed in me. Somebody actually sees what I can bring, my value to the team. Even as I grew in my career, I remember as I'm climbing up the corporate ladder, sometimes I still felt like I still just was not qualified, even though I knew that I was qualified. It's something so strange, something so weird about imposter syndrome that it'll just drive you freaking crazy. And you just can't allow these things to get to your head. So I made my first six-figure. I obtained my first six-figure job in corporate, and I was like, I cannot believe that I'm doing this. I cannot believe that I'm making this type of money. But it's possible. It is definitely doable. And that's what happens with imposter syndrome, that you will downplay your achievements. You will downplay what you've worked on. You will downplay a lot of things. And, you know, sometimes people will say, oh, it's by luck. It's because you're lucky, because no, it's hard work. Wherever you are in your life, if you are at the top and you've achieved whatever it is your goals were, that was not luck. That was hard work. Your degrees, your education, your job, your financial status, your all of that, you achieve that. You don't just become lucky. I mean, you can go play the lottery and you could win millions of dollars, but what are the odds of that? What are the chances of that? Very slim to none, right? It happens every day. Yeah, you could win some money, but the chances of you becoming a millionaire just overnight doesn't really happen. But that's the thing with imposter syndrome, that we'll feel like everything that we've done has just not been enough, or sometimes people will consider it luck when we know that it's not luck. We know that that's just imposter syndrome. And for some reason, imposter syndrome is also very sneaky, because it's like you have like this constant fear of being found out, which is weird because you know your stuff. You know what you've done. You've gone through your 4 years plus of education. You've obtained your degree. Nobody got the degree for you. Nobody just handed you the degree. You worked for this degree. Your job, your career, where you're at, no one just handed you the promotion. You worked for the promotion. You worked to be where you're at. But for some reason, And there's always this one little voice in the back of our heads that always says, yeah, you're still a fraud. You're a fluke. Like, people are going to find out you don't know anything. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. That's imposter syndrome. And we all have it. We all have it because that's just part of the human mind will try to play tricks on you, and you just cannot allow it to play those type of tricks on you. I try to, when I get those type of thoughts, I then look at my life, where I'm at. What am I doing? What have I done? How has it presented itself in my life? My achievements. I brag about my achievements, and you have to brag about your achievements because nobody else is going to do it for you. That's one thing that I've learned. No one is going to brag for you about you. So you have to do it yourself. Imposter syndrome really can show up in different areas of your life, not just in your career. It could really show up in your academic environments. Maybe you're a person that constantly achieves 3.0s, 4.0s, and somehow you're still discrediting yourself, or it's like, yeah, well, I'm not smart enough. Maybe that class was just that easy, or maybe that professor, just really was very lenient on me, or they really liked me and they would just kind of let me slide. So it's so many different things that we'll tell ourselves just to kind of discredit what we've done. But you know what type of person you are. You know if you're a hard worker or not. You know if you're putting in 100% of the effort or not. You know all of these things. So you cannot allow yourself that thought. When that thought comes into your brain, you better start telling it to leave, because it is not qualified to take up space up in your brain, because you know the type of person that you are. And it also can even show up in your personal relationships. So for example, maybe you have a friends group. You'll see that your friends around you maybe are doing better than you, or doing more than you. Maybe you're the friend that's doing better, that's doing more than your other friend group, but still somehow, some way, there's still a feeling of unqualified, of feeling of I'm still not qualified. Like, I'm still not this real person who I claim to be. That's how it's been for me in my friend group. I tend to always fall into leadership type of positions. This is in my personal life, in my professional life. That's just a characteristic that I have, where I'm such a great leader. I just have those leadership qualities and characteristics. And so my friend groups, they always would come to me for advice, and it could be relationship, personal, career, whatever type of advice. And I would even have people at work come to me for advice. I'll have people, so I've always been that go-to person for people. And then I would sit back sometimes and be like, why are people always coming up to me asking me for advice, asking me for help? And sometimes it would be older people than me. I would be like in my 20s, and I'll have people in their 30s, 40s coming to me asking me for advice. And they'll be like, Nada, you're just an old soul. Like, it's like you've been here before. And I'm like, what? So that's also how you can in life really be qualified. Is not just in professional environments, is also in those type of settings in your personal lives, where maybe you are that friend that is influential, but you still don't feel like you really are qualified to have that sort of influence. I remember when I first I remember speaking, before I even made six figures, I remember speaking it to my friends and be like, one day I'm going to make six figures. And at first, 6 figures to people sounded way, way unachievable. Like, it sounded like, girl, we come from the bottom. Like, we come from being poor. We come from eating mayonnaise sandwiches and, some hot dogs with eggs every day. And like, girl, we ain't qualified for that. But it was something that I always believed that I could achieve. And so eventually I would always speak that to my friends and be like, one day I'm going to make 6 figures. I'm going to make 6 figures. I'm going to make 6 figures. And I started speaking that until one day I hit 6 figures. And I hit my first figure about like 5 or so years ago. So it's been a while since I achieved it. But I remember when I finally did achieve that, it was kind of one of those things that then my friend would say, I'm going to make 6 figures. I'm going to make 6 figures. So then I started influencing them. But then I would look back and be like, how am I qualified to be this influential person? But that's just imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome will try to make you think that you ain't qualified when you are. I will say, keep being that influence with your friends, your family. Like, I have family today that they tell me that I've influenced them as well, whether if it's their line of work or certain advice that I share or with whatever it is. And if I allow imposter syndrome to get me every single time, I'm telling you, I probably would not be here right now. I would not be talking to you about any of this. I would not be talking about, what's happening, what's going on in our daily lives. And I think a lot of us can relate about these are regular, normal things. Imposter syndrome is very real. It's not something that certain selected people get. We all get it somehow, some way, where we doubt ourselves. So don't think that you are in it by yourself, or don't think that, oh, this only happens to certain people. No, it happens to a lot of us. Like I said, imposter syndrome can really show up and show out in different areas of your life. But if you know that you are going through that, where you have imposter syndrome, first thing I want you to do is to acknowledge your feelings, right? You want to recognize and you want to validate instead of brushing them off. So just always remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself of where you come from. Especially a lot of us, thank you, Patrona. Especially a lot of us come from poverty. We come from places where we were the minority, where, we lived very poorly. We didn't have all the advantages. We didn't have the different privileges. So when you are that person in your family that is making that change, you can feel like, is this right? Is this even correct? Is this something that is real? Is this something that is going to be taken away from me anytime soon? Those are all very validated feelings to have. Those are very real. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. If anybody ever tells you that, oh, you're lucky that you live the way that you live, you're lucky that you do what you do, you're lucky that you get to travel, you're lucky that the type of job that you have, you're lucky the type of car you drive, you're lucky. No, cut that person off, and especially cut that conversation very short, because don't let nobody downplay what you've done. If I would have let people downplay what I've done, and people have tried it, people have tried to tell me that what I have done has been luck. Oh, girl, you're lucky. You're lucky that you get to work from home. You're lucky that you did. No, I've worked for this. Nobody handed this to me. So if anybody ever tells you that you are lucky for what you've got, what you do, what you eat, what you drive, what you wear, all of that, that's the type of person that you do not need around you, because that person is definitely a hater. Or maybe you can even educate them into telling them exactly what you've done. Sometimes people don't realize and don't understand the hard work that goes into it. If you're going to school, people might look at you and say, oh, all you do is go to school. All you do is sit down for 6-8 hours a day and listen to somebody talk and teach you about math or English or history or whatever it is. Yeah, but that's still hard work too. You're putting in the time, and then you got to study. And then if it's for a degree or whatnot, for a professional career, you are putting in the time, the work. And then after that, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a job just because you get a degree. You might have to then go work at an internship for the summer. It might even have to be an unpaid internship. You just know that you got to get that experience so you can put it on your resume. That is your stepping stone, so that way you can get to the next job that you know that is going to pay you. And then once you get that job, you know that then you can gain some experience for a year or 2 or 3, and then move on to the next role, and you're making more money there and stepping up and stepping up and stepping up. So you've got this plan. So no, it's not luck, it's work, it's hard work. So you need to validate that about yourself. You need to validate where you're at and how you live and where you are today. Same thing like with your home, wherever you live. Maybe you're not exactly where you want to be yet, and that is okay, because a lot of us, we go through stuff like that where we are not in the place yet where we want to be, but you've got to work towards it. That's just life. You're always going to have to work towards your goals, especially if you want to grow. Because, you could stay stuck in certain ways and certain things that you do. You can just say, well, this is just the life that was meant for me. If that's how you feel, that's on you. But for me, I'm always looking for the next best thing. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to just elevate myself. And I have learned that us, people of color, our Black and brown brothers and sisters, like, we tend to always just be the ones that are the hardest on us, on ourselves. This is going to do it for you. So I believe that when you stay quiet, you are doing more harm than help. So don't just stay quiet. Don't just listen to your parents when they tell you, oh, no digas nada en el trabajo. Don't say nothing at work. Let them do their thing. Let them do. No, if you know that this is right, the right thing to do, speak up. Say something. I have always used my voice in my corporate positions to always vouch and talk for my Latinos, because especially in the industry where I've worked in real estate, we've got a lot of blue collar jobs, and so they may not speak English very well. So I'm always looking like, how can we help them? Okay, let's translate. Let's do this. Let's do that for them. Let's help them out. But that imposter syndrome will always still kick in and be like, how are you qualified to do all this, girl? Like, come on now. But you always have to just think about yourself and think about like where you're going and what you want to do. And if you want to make an impact, you want to make a change in the world, in your workplace, in your friend group, in your family, whatever it is, take that step. Take charge of your life. Take really the first step to be able to do that. Quick little lippy time, break time. Because if not, that I might just mess it up. I'm talking. But yeah, and then this is the Fenty Beauty. This is the Riri 01. Listen, I love me some Rihanna. I will definitely support Rihanna in everything that she does, okay? So yes. So think about the imposter syndrome, y'all. How does it show up in your life? How does it show up in your life? And how can you address it? How can you fix it? So remember to talk to yourself when it comes to these things, to imposter syndrome. Talk to yourself about, you've got this. You are smart. You are strong. You are qualified. Don't let anyone try to bring you down on that, because that's a lie. If anybody ever tries to tell you that you're not qualified to do a certain job, or you're not qualified to do a certain thing, that's a lie. That's on them. That's them projecting their insecurities onto you. So we're not doing that. We are not insecure people. We are strong people. We believe in ourselves. We are trailblazers. We are chain breakers. We are all of that. All right. So just reframe any negative thoughts that you have. And even if you've got those negative people in your surrounding, in your world, check them. Figure out who do you need to keep in your place and maybe who you need to remove. Because some people only help to put you down. Some people only help to make you believe in the negative things of yourself instead of the good. Some people are really good at that. So look into, how does this person make you feel? Does this person, after having a conversation with this person, do you feel good or do you feel down? Do you feel bad about yourself? Do you feel negative or anything like that? Think about that and remove those people. And anytime you have those negative thoughts, especially where you know that it's not true, you need to start telling those negative thoughts to. And I think that it's important to remind yourself of what you've done. Jot down your achievements. That's something that I like to do. I like to keep track of, I like to write them down, of any achievements that I've made, because it's something about, it's in my brain, it's in my head, but it's something about when you write things down and you actually read them and they're just in black and white, and then you're looking at it and you're like, okay, this is me. This is not somebody that I'm reading about in a history book. This is me. This is my stuff. So I would definitely encourage you to keep a journal, or maybe you want to keep something in your notes, in your phone, or in your laptop, whatever it is that makes you comfortable, that works for you. Jot down everything that you've achieved. I've achieved my degree, my certification in HR. I have 14 years of HR experience. I mentioned I've built my house from ground up. I've achieved a 6-figure salary. I've been the first person in my family to achieve a 6-figure salary. And I am the first person in my family to obtain a corporate role and grow and become a corporate leader. Like, these are a lot of achievements in my family, in my life, that I am proud of. I was a teen mom, y'all. I was 15 when I had my first son. At that time, people counted me out. People said that my life was over, that I wasn't going to be anybody, that I was going to live off of welfare, that I was going to be on Section 8, that I was going to live off the government, off food stamps and everything. And I wasn't going to graduate. I wasn't going to finish school. Like, I had all the naysayers and all the negative thoughts and sayings against me. Because, I mean, really, what is a 15-year-old girl doing getting pregnant, right? But I did, and I will say that for me is what really lit a fire, where I said, oh no, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm not going to be a statistic, and I'm not going to give people the pleasure of that. And I'm not going to give myself that or my son that, because we don't deserve that. Yeah, I made a mistake, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, I just had to deal with it. And my son now is 20 years old, and he is building his own successful career, which I'm very proud of. And that's just something that I feel has been an achievement for me too. Being an example to him and to his brother, who is 13 years old, and he's seeing that, okay, yeah, mom can do it. If mom can do it, I know that I can do it. So there are so many things that could have been used against me, that I could have really believed it and said, yeah, you know what, maybe my life is over. Maybe I don't belong in doing this or doing that. I don't belong in these spaces. But today, I'm very proud of who I am and where I've come from. I'm never, ever ashamed of my story. I always, anytime I'm at a speaking engagement or I'm facilitating a class or anything like that, I lay my whole heart out and my story out to people, because I think it's important for people to understand and realize that, yes, I may be up here speaking at this event, but I'm human. I also go through stuff. I also have problems. I also have issues. I also have just so many things that could be against me, but that doesn't limit me. It doesn't stop me. It might hold me back a little bit. It might put things on pause, but that doesn't mean that things end, that my life is over. Life is over until you die. Until then, life is not over. Life is still moving. The clock is still ticking. It's still tick-tocking, okay? So you still have time to do whatever you want to do. People are going to school in their 40s. They're going to get their degrees. Like, it's never late, y'all. Don't let no one ever tell you otherwise. Because people will always try to put you down, or people will always try to belittle anything that you're doing or anything that you believe in. But that's them. That's their insecurity. We're not insecure over here. We are secure with ourselves. We know that we are it. We are her. We are him. Like, that's just who we are. Patrona said, yo también tenía 15 cuando tuve mi primera hija y tengo 6 hijos. Yeah. Again, I'm like, imposter syndrome, shoo, leave. Get out my face, because I know where I've been, I know where I come from, and I know what I'm doing, and I know where I'm going. And I'm not gonna let you try to take over, try to make me feel otherwise. So another thing I also will encourage is to find mentors. Find your group of people that will believe in you. These are people that are constantly going to be pushing you forward. I have made so many friends along the way. It started off as a professional relationship, and then it just kind of developed into a personal relationship. And these are people that put me on to opportunities because they believe in me. These are people that mention my name for speaking engagements, for business opportunities, for so many different things, for jobs. And this is because they know who I am. They know my work ethic. They know the value that I bring to any team. They know what I can do. They know what I'm capable of. And so these people believe in me. Those are the type of people that you want to keep keep around you. And your mentor is going to be someone that you look up to that person and you want to be similar to that person. You want to embody certain characteristics, certain qualities of that person that you just feel like, wow, I really admire how this person really seems to not have a problem talking to different people. Their networking skills are just top notch. I want to learn how to network from this person. Or maybe the other person seems to be a great business person. I want to learn from them. I want to learn how to grow my business one day so I can maybe quit my job. Or there's so many different mentors that you can keep around you that you can learn from. And then one day you might be that mentor to someone. I am mentoring other younger folks where I'm like, I can't believe sometimes that I'm mentoring people because I had a mentor, but now I'm mentoring. And that's when imposter syndrome tries to kick in and tells me that I'm not qualified to be mentoring people, which is a lie. I know that I am. But this is why I also love to have platforms like TikTok and my YouTube and my podcast and my blog, because I could really be me. I could be myself. I could be Nada to you. I might Spanglish if I need to. I can do whatever it is. And I could just be my creative self with no limit, no holdback, because I can tell you exactly what it is that has worked for me. Versus if I'm trying to speak on behalf of a company, there's certain limitations, certain things you can say and not be too creative. But this is why I like platforms like this, because I can be my real, raw, authentic self, talk to you guys, share with you my experiences, and then, hopefully be of that example to you and inspiration to you, where you could say, you know what, I don't know her personally, but I hear her, I see what she's done, and I believe that I also can get there too. And maybe it's something that you are passionate about, that you wish to maybe one day help people. If that's something that you totally like to do, I would definitely encourage you to use platforms like this, social media, to really share, speak up, share your voice, your experiences and whatnot, because this is how other people will learn. I wish I had people when I was young, like a teenager young, to really help me and guide me through work life, professional life, and everything. I mentioned my parents, they were immigrants, so they never worked in corporate. I could never go to them and ask them how to navigate corporate. I wish I had those type of conversations at home. And those are the type of conversations I have now with we talk about money, we talk about careers, we talk about life and family. We have all of these open and honest conversations because we need to learn. We need to learn and we need to help others to be better. So I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation today. It's definitely been a fun time, I think, sharing my experience, talking to you guys, letting you know what I've done in my career, in my life, and hopefully you guys take something from it. And don't forget to follow, like, share, all of that good stuff, because I go live Monday through Wednesdays at 6:25 a.m. Eastern time. I also have a YouTube where I upload a lot of videos. I have a podcast as well if you'd like to listen instead. So go to the links in my bio and you'll be able to keep up with me. So I'll talk to you guys later. Gotta finish getting ready for work. Bye, y'all.